I'm Bernie Kelman. This is Grant Keane, and welcome to the first ever episode of Marginally Qualified, where we sit in a basement and talk about sports.
That we don't know that much about.
Right.
There we go. Okay, so a lot of things happened over the week.
Yes, sir.
Lineup looks like NBA free agency started Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
NHL free agency also started Friday. A lot of transfer news going on. Confederations Cup final was on Sunday, and Wimbledon is starting this week.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get right into it. Why don't we start with the NBA? Because there were some pretty wild moves that we need to talk about. First one I think that happened chronologically was Chris Paul getting traded to the Houston Rockets.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I think this was the best possible outcome for LA out of all the things that could have happened for them. The sign and trade gave them some value. Paul was just going to walk.
Yeah, they weren't going to get anything for him.
Right. And, this way they get some young players like the great Deron Hilliard got shipped in that deal. No, just kidding. They get Patrick Beverley, who's a great defender.
Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams.
I think they got
Montrezl Harrell,
they got a
right?
protected pick in there. So
Sam Decker.
Sam Decker as well, yeah. So
That's a lot.
That's a lot. They got like 7 players.
I think the Clippers may have gotten more long-term value.
Yeah, I think they got more
Honestly.
long-term value. But at the same time, I really think it was a good trade for Houston as well.
Good trade for Houston. They want to win. They think they have the group to do it.
Right, especially if they can somehow finagle Melo to Houston.
No.
There have been some talks about it. Melo said he would only waive his trade for no trade
Houston?
clause for Houston and Cleveland.
For Houston.
Houston and Cleveland.
Really?
He sees Chris Paul there,
One of his buddies.
buddies,
The banana boat crew.
right? In a couple of years, they might all be out in Houston. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding. That's going to happen.
Was it the right time for the Clippers to blow it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been trying Lob City for, 5 years now?
Yeah, look, sometimes a group just doesn't have it, or a player just doesn't have it.
Mhm.
I'm not saying Chris Paul doesn't have it.
No, Chris Paul has it.
Or Blake Griffin doesn't have it. But when you have the highest winning percentage and don't make the conference finals of any team in that group for 5 years in a row, right? That's not good, right? Something's not working there.
Yeah.
It was time for them to do it. Good move for them. I'm excited for the Paul Harden combo. I know a lot of people have been saying that too much usage between them, that they're too ball dominant. But I think part of them being ball dominant is who else was going to create the offense on either of these teams.
Yeah.
For the secondary guards, Eric Gordon, J.J. Redick, and Austin Rivers. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, last year we saw the secondary guards, who honestly I don't think are very good, play really well in the offense that they have built in Houston. They really did a good job. Houston had one of the most efficient offenses the league has seen in years. Harden came out as an MVP candidate, mostly because they run literally everything through him.
Yeah.
Now, that relates to the usage rates, but Chris Paul is only going to make this team better. There's no way he doesn't.
Absolutely.
Something I saw people commenting on all the, YouTubes and Facebook things out there is that Paul's going to be a decrease from Patrick Beverley on defense. And
Maybe.
that is the most bullshit thing I've ever
Chris Paul's
heard.
kind of old, though.
Chris Paul's kind of old, but that hasn't stopped him from getting 6 All-NBA first-team defense honors in a row.
In a row.
And the years he didn't get first-team All-Defense, he got second-team All-Defense.
The guy's a stud.
This
It's
guy,
gonna be great.
this
I
guy
remember,
is amazing, just all around.
I remember a game, actually, December this year. Rockets were playing the Warriors. TNT game early in the season. Went to double overtime. And by the end of that game, the Rockets just stopped running offense. And it was James Harden pick and roll into ISO switch every time down. And they won that game because the Warriors scored 3 points in the second overtime. But
Which won't happen often.
I don't think we're going to see any more games like that where James Harden can't run an offense because he's afraid to give the ball up, right? As a coach, you obviously don't want to take possessions away from Harden or away from Chris Paul. This is Mike D'Antoni we're talking about. He's going to figure out a way to get them together and make this work.
Yes,
I'm excited for it.
I'm very excited. I think it's going to make the West a whole
gonna
lot
work.
more interesting.
It's going to work after maybe 2 months.
Yeah.
For they figure out
And something that I think people should be ready for is I don't think they're going to have more regular season wins than they did previously. I don't think that's really
Probably not.
No, what this is a move that's going to change the playoffs.
It's going to change the playoffs. We both watched the San Antonio Houston series.
Yep.
Yeah. James Harden looked dead by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean he didn't.
He was dead.
You know,
you can't have a guy that's 70% of your offense the entire year.
Right. People in the finals this year were talking about LeBron getting tired and getting worn out at the end of games.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Harden in the playoffs this year was an example of that happening over the course of an entire season and then also the playoffs.
Yeah.
Did
he play 82 games this year?
Did he play all the games?
I'm going to look that up.
That would be fascinating if he did.
I think he played 82 last year.
I don't know. The guy is,
He played 82 last year and 81 this year.
Right.
Played 81 games.
Slacking off this year. Missed a game. So,
so for people that don't think Harden tries hard.
Right. Harden does try hard. Despite
81 games in an age that people don't play 81 games.
Right.
Yeah. So, moving on, I guess.
Paul George?
Paul George.
To the Thunder.
Where did this come from? Was this on anybody's radar? I mean, it certainly wasn't on mine, but I'm not like an expert talking about talking about these teams all the time.
We're not in the management rooms asking for questions.
Holy
but
cow!
It was insane.
What a shocker!
And the reaction from everyone, it was
first off, good move for the Pacers, yes or no?
Good move for the Pacers. I think so. I think it's a very similar situation to what we saw in LA. Next year, George is gonna walk. Is what the Pacers are thinking.
Yes.
Paul George has already told the Pacers he's going to walk, which was actually kind of nice of him because now they got to move him and they got something out of it.
I think it works. I know people were upset about him, but if you leave, you're gonna hurt feelings. That's the way it goes.
Right. We saw that with Gordon Hayward, but we'll get to that later.
yeah, we'll get to that later. We do know that people were offering him a lot more just a few weeks earlier. Does this say something to GMs around the league to not wait for better deals if you see something that you should do?
I think it does. I think it does to some extent, but at the same time, a few weeks ago, I feel like it was less real. I feel like Paul George's desire to play in LA was less real. I feel like as time went on, he said more things and more news came out, more anecdotes about how badly he wants to play for the Lakers specifically.
Sure.
That really makes teams hesitate about trading for a guy who has 1 year less contract.
Yeah.
Which is why I think OKC made the right move in doing it. They really didn't have to give up much, and this is an important move for their future in more ways than one.
You think this is a good move? I don't know if this is a good move.
I think it's a good move.
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
For Indiana, obviously you never want to give up a superstar for minimal assets, right? Getting a superstar for minimal assets, that's like the dream. I don't know if they should have given up any assets, quite honestly, from just a GM perspective.
If OKC shouldn't have given up any
I'm not sure they should have given up any for a guy that, to everyone's understanding, is definitely going to be a 1 year rental. I don't think they're going to win this year. They're not going to win a championship. Unless they need one more move, maybe, to even be a contender. Right now, they can get to the conference finals, but they're not going to win a championship. Right. So, okay, sorry, we ran into a few problems there. Why it's not a great move for OKC? Do you think they're going to win title?
No, they're not going to win title this year.
No, they're not. Right? What's the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to win titles. And if you're giving up assets for players that aren't going to help you, right? I don't think George is going to help them win a title unless they get another piece. So either Sam Presti really thinks the culture in OKC can convince PG to stay, or he's just trying to show his commitment to winning to Westbrook.
The reason why I think it's such a good deal is because I think it's a little bit of both of those. First of all, OKC fans, I'm not an Oklahoma City fan per se. I love seeing Russell Westbrook play last year. I would say I'm a Russell Westbrook fan just because I admire, his game.
His ruthlessness.
His ferocity.
Oh my God.
Oh, I did not pronounce that word properly. Ferocity on the court, whatever. But I think that the OKC culture might sway Paul George.
Do you think so?
You see their fans are just so committed. They're so passionate. That's crazy for me. And also, Russell Westbrook is probably hungrier than ever to, win at this point. He just had this MVP season. He just put up a triple-double a game, and his team struggled for a, 6 seed? Was he 6 or 7? It was, if you have a guy that's putting up 26 points a night and, 10 assists and 10 rebounds, you shouldn't be 7th in either conference, honestly. And there's this whole thing that we've been talking about fatigue during the season. I think there's a degree of fatigue over the course of several seasons, and I can see that happening to Russell Westbrook. If Russell Westbrook doesn't
pace.
What?
If he plays at this pace.
If he plays at this pace, and then also just if he keeps losing games, that can get tiring. Bringing in Paul George, he says this is the management saying we want a winning culture here in OKC. We want to win. We want to win now. Russell Westbrook, you are a star player, and we are going to get you what you need to win. So they're going to be good this year. They're probably going to end up being a 3-4 seed in the West, and they'll have the right to play in the conference finals to see who gets bitch slapped by the Warriors.
You think Paul George is gonna have fun playing with Russ?
I think Russ
is a good player to play with.
I don't think Russ is a good player to play with.
I can understand the arguments for both, right?
Right.
He's a bit out of control. He's a bit hero ball-ish.
Mm-hmm.
A lot hero
Very
ball-ish.
much so.
I guess the way I look at this sometimes, though, is why wouldn't you want a guy on your team that's gonna run through walls for you? Right. He wants to win. Probably visually speaking, you can see he wants to win more than most other guys in the NBA. Why wouldn't you want to be on a team like that? And from like an outsider standpoint, I know people want like control and they want it to look prettier sometimes for him. I say that they should embrace and just let him go.
Mm-hmm. And
his best qualities. Sorry,
you're good.
His best qualities. There are 3 players, maybe I'm gonna say 3 players in the league that when they're on the floor, the feeling of the game completely changes. LeBron, Steph Curry, Westbrook. When Westbrook's on the court, just chaos.
Yeah.
Right? He steps on, everybody plays harder. It's going crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intensity picks up.
Absolutely. And that is a lot of fun to play with. I think that Paul George, now I don't think he's going to be okay with this per se, definitely not in the beginning, but if a superstar is willing to take a back seat to Russell Westbrook and just go along for the ride, that's a deadly combination. That's him and anyone for that matter. We saw that with Kevin Durant. Granted, I don't think Paul George is as good as Kevin Durant.
No,
but he's pretty damn good.
I don't like giving up assets if you're not going to win. They need to make 1-1. I'm not talking about they need to sign Rudy Gay. That's not the 1-1.
That's not the 1-1.
No.
Melo?
Melo. Does Melo want to go to OKC?
I don't think that's
New York?
No. I'm sorry.
So let's move on to Gordon Hayward.
All right.
Yeah. Crazy stuff going on yesterday.
Right.
Leaked that he was going to the Celtics, then rescinded.
Then signed.
Signed anyway.
Right. I love the Asian statement. I don't remember what it was verbatim, but it was something along the lines of...
He hasn't made a decision yet.
He hasn't made a decision yet after,
The decision he hadn't made was how he's going to break it, too.
Right.
To the Jazz.
The decision he hadn't made is how he was going to,
Keep going.
Decision he hadn't made was how he was, going to break up with Utah. Was he going to, text? Was he going to, let him down at, an ice cream shop or something? I don't know. Let him off real easy like that. But
good move for Hayward.
Good move for Hayward.
Hayward.
He matches up with Brad
superstar.
Yeah. He matches up with
Hard
Brad
to do it
Stevens.
in Utah. I'm sorry.
Okay, here. How about we do this? You go, then I'll go.
You go. I'm done now.
Are you sure?
Yes.
But I talked over you. I feel so rude.
I want to know what you have to say.
All right.
Being a superstar.
Well, you're absolutely right. He does get to be a superstar in Cleveland. In Boston with the Celtics, and his best buddy and former head coach, Brad Stevens, which I just love. I just love the fact They were this close. They were an inch away from winning a championship. You see that quote? He was talking to SportsCenter today. He said, we had a goal. We came so close to it, and we still have that goal, which I think is just the sweetest thing in the world. I love seeing their relationship.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm excited.
But great move for the Celtics. At the same time, they're not going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to say. They're not going to the NBA Finals.
They're not getting past Cleveland?
They're not getting past Cleveland. I don't know if you can see this, but this is a picture of LeBron James. I have it in my notes. This is why they're not getting past Cleveland. LeBron is too good.
LeBron is too good. He owns the East.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward. I love Gordon Hayward's game. He's awesome.
I love Gordon Hayward's game.
He's so good. He's so good. He's not a top 20 player yet, I don't think.
He's not a top 20 player? I think he's a top 20 player. I think he's top 20. Maybe not top 15.
I'm not sure if he can be the best player on the championship team. And we'll see. Maybe he can.
Right, maybe he can be.
I guess we're going to find out how good he really is this upcoming year. I think Cleveland should be worried, though. Right?
See, why do you think that?
Why do I think that?
Why do you think Cleveland should be worried?
Boston's biggest issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the rebounding thing.
You don't?
I think their biggest issue is shot creating and making ability. Last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, Isaiah would get double on the screen. They'd play 4-on-3 through it. Jay Crowder, open three. You knew it was going to break every time. I love Jay Crowder, great defender. Make a shot, my man.
You knew
Holy cow.
Everyone in the building knew.
Jaylen Brown has another year under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Hayward. These are lengthy, athletic wings that can play defense and, more importantly, can create offense for you. So it's not all Isaiah. Who was the only other offensive creator on the team last year? Maybe Al Horford out of the post. Maybe. Right? I think this makes them significantly better. Right? I don't think it's going to get them past Cleveland, but they still have the certifiable size weaknesses right now.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of depth to have, and it's a lot of length to have. And I think Cleveland should be worried. You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that Cleveland won 2 of those playoff games last year by 40 points.
Last year they didn't have a
they
shot.
Won by a margin. They won by a margin of 20 points per game. I don't think that the Celtics are 20 points better on average against Cleveland with Gordon Hayward. I think that their rebounding is atrocious. Their defense is good. Rebounding is atrocious.
Rebounding is pretty bad.
Yeah.
What if they get Gasol?
See, that's the thing. You're mentioning all those assets earlier, and I kind of wanted to jump on that and talk about how they might not have those assets next year. If they really are in win-now mode, why not try to trade for Gasol? People are talking about it now, and I think that can be the move they need to get over Cleveland.
Look, Boston knows they're still second best because going into the offseason, they're like, we're going to get Hayward and Jimmy Butler or Paul George. They knew they needed to make moves more than Hayward, right? So I'm excited to see if they do it.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We were talking earlier this week, and we were talking about if anyone can prevent a Cavs Warriors Part 4. And I said no, but now that Gasol is in the mix, I think that could prevent.
I think Cleveland should be worried.
I think if Gasol heads to Boston, I think that could very easily prevent.
Cleveland should be worried.
King James from making it to the finals again, which would just be a travesty.
It's hard to bet against LeBron.
It's hard to bet against LeBron. It's so hard.
So with the departures of Paul George, Jimmy Butler, now Paul Millsap to Denver, right?
Mm-hmm. Denver.
5, 7, 8 teams in the East. More or less out of the contest.
Yeah.
Right? The West gets certified better. Does this really matter at all, though?
No, it doesn't matter. We all know at least 3 before all the free agency stuff happened, right? We knew 2 teams that were going to be in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. We knew, Golden State and Cleveland were going to be there.
Right.
And then there was a toss-up between 2 teams in each division as well. Is it going to be Rockets Spurs, or is it going to be Celtics
Wizards.
Sorry, I had a brain fart. Wizards, right?
Wizards.
Exactly.
Raptors,
But
Raptors
now, right, Raptors. I don't think they really. I don't like the Raptors that much all around. I think they've gotten worse over the past couple of years. But that's a different issue. But now with the Wizards potentially looking at losing Otto Porter to free agency,
they're not going to lose him.
they're going to match. They're going to match.
Will match.
They're going to match. Okay,
They have to.
fine. Even if they match at this point.
Sure.
Even if they match at this point, with the addition of Gordon Hayward to Boston, there's no way the Wizards can stop them, in my eyes, unless John Wall just goes ballistic or some grace of God. But I really think that this isn't going to affect the Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals. I really don't think it's going to affect the finals matchup. All of the moves have been interesting, and they'll make for good regular season and early round playoff viewing to tie this over until the real season starts. And we get to watch the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals.
I don't think this changes anything.
Right.
I'll tell you what. The main issue people are having now is that there's there's clearly that top tier in each conference. There are 4 teams in each conference. And in the Western, Clippers swap out for OKC as that 4th team. But people are concerned about the middle tier depth in the East, right? The Atlanta's falling out. I think the East is going to be fine. They're going to look at bounce back teams. Miami's going to be back in there. Charlotte's going to be what Charlotte was for the first half of the season last year. Milwaukee's going to take a step up.
I like Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's good.
I like Milwaukee a lot.
East is going to be fine. And again, it doesn't affect that main group. Yeah. We still know who the competitors are. These moves don't, with the exception of the Paul George trade, maybe, these moves going west don't really affect the landscape of the East. Right?
I completely agree. Yeah.
Who else do you think might step up?
Who might step up?
To claim those spots. Spots are going to be claimed. It's not just going to be like a crapshoot.
Right.
Somebody's going to step up and take it.
The Bucks were already in the playoffs, right?
Bucks are in the playoffs. They're going to stay.
They're going to stay in the playoffs. Who's going to step up?
Detroit?
No, Detroit's not going to step up.
No, they're not.
Detroit, I love the Pistons so much. But I think the Pistons organization is finally realizing that we've been going in the wrong direction for the past 3 years. We've been putting our money in Andre Drummond to lead this team, to be the best player on a championship team. That's the goal.
Yeah.
He's not going to be. He's going to be the 3rd best player on the team because he can rebound. He plays damn good defense, in my opinion, when I watch him. And he can score at a limited range.
At the moment, we can't even be sure he can be the best player on a perennial playoff team.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And Jackson was a flop this year too, which injury and those struggles are understandable.
Yeah.
But I would really like to see Pistons keep their young core and move out their superstars and try to maybe free up some cap room to sign someone else. Pistons finished 10th in the East last year and were $6 million over the cap.
I say tank. Trust the process. Speaking of the process, Sacramento Kings, good or bad moves?
Yeah.
I think too many years for those guys. They're good moves. George Hill can play a multitude of spots and be mentors to the young guards they have. Too many years.
I'm just confused about Sacramento. I have no idea what they're.
Too many years.
I don't think Sacramento has a clear vision about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Unlike a couple teams in the East who are young and very good, and those teams that I'm thinking of are, the Bucks, who have proven that they're good and young, and they're only going to get better, and teams with limitless potential like the 76ers.
You build through the draft.
Right.
And we've seen in recent history that sides somehow sign some transcendent superstar, right? You build through the draft. Even Cleveland, with LeBron coming back, they had the assets. They built through the draft. Kyrie comes, Thompson comes, Anthony Bennett's a bust. But then
He
you
can still
trade
make money.
Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love, and then you got LeBron coming on board, and the team's built.
Yeah.
You can't do a sign of free agents.
No.
Yeah.
You can't just run around the league every year, which is another reason why, Boston is going to be. I think Boston is going to be the best team in the league in 6 years.
6 years, Boston.
Maybe less. Just the sheer multitude of picks they have. They might be able to be the best team in 2 years just by dealing these picks.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back and looked at all the deals they made to get these picks.
It's kind of confusing.
But there's just I just know they have so many of them.
They have so many. Danny Ainge.
They have all the picks. So they're just going to get better and better, and they're already not too old right now. They're already pretty young right now.
Speaking of building for the draft, Steph Curry takes the Supermax deal.
Right, finally getting paid what he's worth.
Probably less still.
Probably less than what he's worth. Have you ever seen the analyses for their
Players are underpaid. Let's be real.
Right, but have you ever seen the analysis for the value of the Golden State organization? It jumped from something like I think it was like $700 million or like $800 million. That shit jumped up to $2.6 billion.
Look, Steph Curry is the culture creator there. You pay him. If I could pay him more illegally as an owner, I would.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's what LeBron said. He said you ought to put another zero on there, make it $400 million.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, Steph Curry's been making less over the past 5 years than J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson, a whole bunch of other players.
Does it signal the eventual end of this current configuration?
Does it signal the end?
Eventually.
Right. Are the Warriors going to stay together forever?
Are those four guys going to retire as Warriors?
No.
No, they're not. They're not now. That's fine. Steph Curry needs his money.
Right.
I can't tell a guy to take less money.
Well, he brought 2 championships already.
Yeah.
We're about to go on number 3.
For the next 2 or 3, maybe they'll stay together. But when Klay Thompson's up for a raise, Draymond's up for a raise, and Kevin Durant, I think, maybe all in the same 1 or 2 years there.
Yeah, there's going to be a 2-year stretch where they're going to have a hard time paying everyone.
By that point, they've had their championships. They want their money. It's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen at some point that they break up.
They have several players on that team. They have 4 players on that team who could be the first or second best player on a championship team.
Oh, absolutely.
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson is
could lead a team. He could lead a team
defensively
and offensively. I think.
Offensively.
Well, primarily defensively. The dude's incredible. He can guard 1 through 4 probably, maybe 1 through 3. But
I'd say 4. He guards LeBron pretty decently.
Yeah, no, he does a great job.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, so I think that it's just a matter of time before they break up. Kevin Durant definitely helped extend their longevity by taking the pay cut this year. Talk about someone being underpaid.
It's going to end at some point, though. The Curry Supermax signals that just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of ends, Phil Jackson. He's out of there, finally. Phil Jackson was a terrible GM.
He was
a terrible GM, but he has 11 championship rings. Does he have any room to be stubborn about what he was doing?
Professional sports are very much, what have you done for me lately? So, no, he doesn't have the right to be stubborn about his plans.
Sports are inherently about change.
Right.
And about, given a situation, what can you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? He, just because he has 11 championship rings doesn't give him the right to say, I'm going to shove a round peg into a square hole here.
Exactly.
How much of the blame for the Knicks falls on
the Knicks?
falls on Phil Jackson.
How much falls on Phil Jackson?
How much of a franchise is on the GM?
How much of a franchise is on the GM in general? I would say everything. Not everything. The coach. The coach is very important.
GM hires the coach.
GM hires the coach, though.
But
at the same time,
basically,
I think the GM is the single most important position in a basketball organization. You go out, you get the personnel to give your coach a chance to win.
Right.
Phil Jackson won 11 championship rings as a coach. I don't think that's applicable to his merit as a GM at all. When people talk about him being an all-time great, I think he's going to be remembered as an all-time great coach and
I hope he does.
Yeah.
Certainly he had complications with the owner. James Dolan seems like a difficult guy to work with.
And he had complications with Melo.
That is more on him than the Dolan thing.
I would agree.
And just the bright lights of New York City, there's a different expectation for the Knicks, I think.
Mm-hmm. To be perennially almost good. That's the expectation in New York. No.
Well, if it's a smaller market team, do you think GMs would get away with tanking more?
Yes.
I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah. In New York, if you start tanking, the entire city's up in arms.
Oh.
And so you're trying to be good. You can't do it. You can't just have nothing and try to be good.
Yeah.
Right? You got to build through the draft again. But the kind of pressure that was on him to be good now prevented that from happening. And certainly he didn't do a good job, but I don't think as much for the blame maybe should be on him as people say so.
Talking about building through the draft, I actually kind of liked Phil Jackson's draft picks over the past 2 years at least. I thought they were good moves. They're very good moves, considering what was available. And, Porzingis turned out fantastic. And this point guard from France,
Frank Ntilikina.
I was blanking on the name. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really good.
I haven't seen him play, so I can't pass judgment.
I've watched highlight reels, and that's how I think. I know that's not a good.
Long, athletic dude.
Right.
That can play defense.
Exactly.
How can you complain about that?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So, do we want to take a quick break?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah, and then we'll be back in a sec.
Sounds good. All right, we're back. I'm Bernard Abraham Kelman, and this is Grantothan Keene.
We're the same people.
And we're going to start talking about NHL news. Grant, what do you think of all the moves so far? NHL free agency just opened up.
There have been a lot, actually. To break down a few, Shattenkirk goes to the Rangers, Carl Alzner to Canadiens. Justin Williams signs with the Hurricanes. Caps do hold on to Orlov, Oshie, and Kuznetsov. But that still does not keep them from being the losers of this early free agency period. I mean, you lost two pretty high-level blue liners in Shattenkirk and Alzner. And we knew they were suspect throughout the playoffs last year. But this was their year. They were going to push all their eggs into one basket, and they couldn't do it. We were talking earlier about how sometimes groups or players just don't have it.
Yeah.
This Capitals group, I hate to say it, doesn't have it. Alex Ovechkin, hate to say it, he's not the same player in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're the losers of this free agency period because they've lost enough players. They're going to be a completely different team, I think. The winners are the Dallas Stars. They got their goalie. They got Ben Bishop. They got forwards. Wow. Yeah, got forwards Martin Hansel and Alexander Radulov from the Canadiens and Wild. And along with the Mark Mathot acquisition, they've gotten everything they need to make a playoff push now. Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think about Chicago's moves? They traded away some pretty important pieces to their, very good squad. But, the early playoff exit is definitely a red flag for any team. And yeah, what do you think about it?
Last week, Chicago traded away Artemi Panarin to the Blue Jackets.
Mm-hmm.
And they traded Nick Jomerson to Phoenix. This is a team that was first place in the Western Conference, and they've traded two high-level importance guys, not necessarily their untouchables, so to speak, but it seems like a desperate move for a team that was in first place. I watched a few of their games during the regular season. One stood out to me. It's a February game. It's Minnesota. Minnesota's in first place. People are talking about this has been the most important home game in Minnesota's recent franchise history, right? And the Blackhawks came out and they did whatever they wanted with them. They had them totally in their grasp.
So this is a very good team we're talking about.
This is a very good team. I thought going in to the playoffs, I thought they were the most impressive team I've seen. Now, I don't have a strong hockey background, so I can't tell you that for sure. But I picked them to win the cup, and obviously they got swept. Do you think they're overreacting? Do you think teams in general, do you think like any team in general wins a conference, loses in the first round? Do you think they're overreacting?
I think this is an overreaction. I'm also not, very well versed in hockey, but in any sport, if you're as dominant as they seem to be, they were the best team. They were the best team in the league going into the playoffs. I don't know what happened, if it's a leadership issue or a culture issue, but they clearly were a good team. I don't think they needed to make these moves to get better. Anything can happen in the playoffs, and that's kind of the beauty of it, especially in the NHL, where I feel like the variance of teams isn't as wide as it is in, say, the NBA or the NFL.
Sure.
You don't things are less certain going in, and sometimes things just don't go your way.
Maybe I know they did get swept by the Predators, and many of those games they looked out-muscled and outraced by the younger, maybe a little more athletic guys, and maybe Nashville is more indicative of many of the playoff teams than maybe we gave them credit for going in, because we all thought Nashville was going to be an easy wash, and they made the finals. But again, you win the Western Conference. I don't know if you need more pieces. They got Brandon Saad back. They're trying to get bigger. They're trying to get stronger. I think they're overreacting now.
Okay.
In both of these deals, they gave away the best player, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a team that's in a win-now situation with Patrick Kane and Taves in tow, do you like teams in win-now situations giving up deals for the best player? With the best player?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
So in both of these deals, in every trade, some team's going to give up the best player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Normally, in these situations where a team is in win-now mode, they get the best player and they give up assets.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Chicago more got assets out of this deal, it seems to me.
Well, I don't really.
Do you like this or not?
I don't really think that's the right move. I really feel like the best option would just be stick with the squad that you had. I really don't understand the need to change.
It's hard to argue with first place.
I understand that an early playoff exit is a red flag, and I think it is a red flag, but I don't think it's indicative of a problem that isn't fixed by moving your roster around. Maybe it's something involving coaching, or I don't know. But if they were that good all season with those players, why mess with that?
Yeah.
And that goes for all teams and all sports. Like you can see, I don't know, you can see the Patriots trade away all the players after they lost to the Giants after that perfect season. I feel like
I'm trying to think of comparable situation.
Right. Imagine if they had gone and traded Tom Brady. Like that doesn't make any sense. I guess that's not an early playoff exit. I guess, but
Dallas Cowboys lost the first game, right?
Yeah.
What if they traded like a few or one of their more important receivers and one of their more important secondary players?
Right. That just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. That kind of thing makes me nervous if I'm Blackhawks fans.
I think they panicked.
Yeah.
It is kind of embarrassing to get swept by an 8 seed, though.
Yeah. Going to the expansion draft a little bit, Mark Mathot, defenseman for the Ottawa Senators, he gets picked up by Vegas in the expansion draft, and then immediately traded to the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
Great move for Dallas. This is a good move for the Knights.
Well, the Knights got assets.
They got assets.
And, that's what you That's what they need.
That's what you need to win.
That's what you need to win in the future, and they're a new franchise.
A new franchise, you want to collect things that help you win. But to win a championship, what do you want to get first? Do you want assets or culture? And I'm not a hockey guy, so again, I don't know. But this seems to me like maybe they're setting themselves up to be not a player-friendly franchise. Do players want to play here now?
Right. I definitely understand how that could, put some fear in some players' hearts. But at this point in time, no one knows what the front office is going to be like. No one knows if this is going to be a player-friendly environment. This trade, draft and trade, if you will, is not indicative of the culture of the franchise at all. The franchise doesn't have a culture. They don't have a team. I mean, they just got a team. I feel like as time moves along, after they become, 6-7 years in, after they've gotten picks and they've gotten their young guys to a decent level, they're gonna then establish a culture.
Yeah. Would you say that you establish culture through the front office or through specific players?
I would say it's a combination of the two. The front office needs to bring in the right type of players to fit the culture they want, and those players need to deliver. By stockpiling these assets, that's all good. And by drafting players in general, you get people who've been in the league and they know their way around. But I just feel that it's necessary to do whatever you can to amass as much raw resources as you can when you're starting your franchise.
It makes a lot of sense. But I mean, this is just kind of an ass move. You take a veteran defender away from his hometown team just so you can move him for assets, right? If you're a hockey player, does that not go off in your head like maybe they're not on our side? Because to me, that's what it says. And I say, as an expansion team, you do have to collect assets, right? Obviously. But you're years away from competing. So I would think that maybe you'd want to try to establish a culture first and then go into winning mode.
I would argue that at the beginning of a franchise, it'd be nice if I'm an owner or a GM and I want my franchise to win in 5 years, not 10. And I feel like these types of moves accelerate the process to where you're competitive enough to actually be a decent team.
Okay, this is an interesting question. You buy a hockey team today.
Right, I buy a hockey team.
You buy a hockey team today.
With all my money.
Yeah, so you're buying a hockey team today.
Right.
You have a 50% chance to win in 5 years, 100% chance to win in 10 years. Hypothetically, what would you take? It's a good question.
It is a very good question. I would take it depends on the team. It's a very loaded question. I feel like it depends on the team.
Sure.
I feel like if your team has a history of losing, then 10 years, we can wait 10 years. We already suck. If someone came to me today and said, the Detroit Lions will have a 100% chance of winning a Super Bowl in 10 years, I would take that offer in a heartbeat.
That's a good point.
Now, we're talking about a new expansion team.
That's a good point.
I would take...
In Las Vegas. Different dynamic we haven't seen yet.
Right. We don't know you want to talk about culture. Las Vegas is going to be absurd. Player-friendly? I don't know. Do players like, booze and gambling and strip clubs? Do professional athletes like booze and gambling and women? I haven't heard anything about all that. I don't know if hockey players do.
I think hockey players just like hockey.
Hockey players just like hockey?
Yeah.
Too many Canadians.
Too many Canadians.
Too nice.
They are nice. Hockey players are nicer than most other athletes, I think.
Yeah. I digress. Point is, if I'm the Las Vegas Knights, I think I would rather take the quick one. I would take the quick one. It's a coin toss for a championship in 5 years, and you're a new franchise. That would be some sort of record, right? Has a franchise ever won that quickly after being inducted into any major sport?
Orlando got close.
Orlando got close, but only because I don't even know how they got those picks.
Okay.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
NBA is rigged.
The NBA is rigged.
The NBA is rigged.
It is. Do you want to break real quick?
The NBA is rigged. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
NBA is rigged.
The NBA is rigged.
To an extent. So Grant.
Yep.
What do you think of Moana?
I haven't seen it yet.
How was Dwayne The Rock?
I really wanted to.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I still want to. I can't believe I haven't
so
seen it yet, but
there's a big song and dance number with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
What's it called?
Tattoos.
The Big Rock?
It's called You're Welcome.
No way.
Yeah.
You're welcome for my presence?
Essentially.
Really?
Yeah, essentially.
Interesting.
He's very cocky.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
he's The Rock. He can be...
Oh my God, The Rock can be cocky. We should cover WWE on this show.
It's not a sport. We can talk about whatever we want on this show. It's
Question of the day. Is WWE a sport? I say yes. Grant here says no.
I say no. It's a show, dude. It's strictly entertainment. It's scripted.
I mean,
it's scripted.
You don't know that.
They've said it.
Who said it? Who? Liars?
The WWE said
Filthy
it.
liars? I don't think they have.
All right.
Now, let's talk about something that you think is a sport.
It is a sport.
You judgmental prick.
Excuse you.
Soccer.
Soccer is a sport.
Or, football.
Football.
I think it should pick a name. Whatever. Let's talk about the Confederations Cup, Grant.
Would you like to pick a language right now?
Let's talk about the Confederations Cup.
Getting some dicey waters there. Sorry. Continue.
Germany wins the Confederations Cup with their B team, Grant. Does this say more about Germany or the rest of the world?
So, I'd like to open this up by reading a quote from retired English soccer player Gary Lineker.
Gary Lineker.
Lineker.
Gary Lineker, right.
And he said a few years ago, football is a simple game. 22 men chase a ball for 90 minutes, and at the end, the Germans always win. This says more about Germany, right? I understand that Mexico, Portugal, Chile, they brought their best guys, and I understand that Chile's offense, again, has disappeared in a big-time cup final. Chile was the superior side. And keep going.
That's two.
Chile was the superior side in this game. But Germany won a big-time international tournament with their B team, with guys that are young. And I know they didn't bring their big guns, but it's made up of recognizable names, of big, good European clubs. Mustafi, Draxler, Timo Werner, Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka came into his own during the tournament. These are all 25 to 30 game guys on good European clubs. It's not like the USB team, right, that they're sending the Gold Cup, where the only names you're going to recognize are guys that you would know only through watching MLS pretty closely. I recognize maybe half the names they're sending at the Gold Cup.
Sure.
Germany's one of the few nations that can compete with like a second or third squad, and you're thinking of like Spain or France. I don't think this says anything poorly about the rest of the teams in the tournament. I think it just highlights how far ahead Germany is from everybody else.
So come World Cup time.
Yes.
You think it's a wash?
Do I think I'd pick them to win it again?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could pick a repeat.
Do you think the Germans come home twice in a row?
If I had to pick today.
You had to pick today.
You'd
pick the Germans.
I'd pick Belgium.
Belgium?
I'd pick Belgium. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's their time. A lot of their younger players. If you give them another year, I think they're ready.
Okay.
They have enough experience and youth. And a couple of their guys are pushing towards being those elite top 5, top 10 players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's something that kind of flew under the radar for most of the tournament and then reared up at the end is the presence and failure, depending on how you see it, of the VAR system, video assistant referee. So basically, FIFA's trying this new thing where if the referee makes calls on the field, right, dude in a truck is watching on the screen. If he's dude in a truck. Well, I don't know where he is, but he sees something on screen, disagrees with what the referee calls on the field. He says to the referee in his earpiece that maybe you should take a look at it. And at that point, it's the referee's decision whether or not to go actually take a look at it, right? And it seems like a lot of these referees are a little resistant to that. And the protocol isn't working that great. There was one game where the guy was over there for 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes, but he was over there for way longer than he should have needed to. It seemed pretty cut and dry to me. And came back and then had to go check it out again because he forgot what happened. This isn't working that well. Maybe we can get it to work that well. Do we care about it? I don't want to phrase this. Do we care about these systems enough to work through them and make it right, or do you think we're losing like the human aspect of it?
This
is
is
too protocol-ish.
Sure. I definitely think that that in cases like this, when a sport that's very traditional, we've been doing it this way for ages. There's going to be growing pains when something changes, and it changes the nature of sports in general. And the fact that technology isn't being used to assist referees in soccer is absurd. We see incidents constantly where there'll be a dispute over, a foul being a foul or not, or players complain, or, sometimes on rare occasions the ball even goes into the net and it doesn't end up being a goal. Some of the greatest moments in not soccer history, but also sports history in general, I'm talking NFL, NBA, are referee errors.
Phone calls.
Awful calls.
Yeah.
And the more we can take away that error, the more we can actually figure out which athletes are the best, which players are the best, which teams are the best. We don't lose the human aspect of the game because humans are still playing the game.
That's a good point. Yeah, I was going to say that. Something you said. Shoot, I had something. Never mind. We'll keep going. Do you think, theoretically, right, if we could have robots referee a game, would you do it, or does there still need to be someone in charge?
Not only would I do it, I would love it.
It would be awesome.
I would have a favorite referee. I'm also curious as what types of robots. We're talking like robots that look like people and can like run around the field with the robots. I'm thinking we get all the people from the Drone Racing Association to put cameras on their drones and just follow overhead. The Drone Racing Association. Check out the Drone Racing Association.
Later. On hold.
Yeah, but for real, if robots could ref the game and make perfect calls the entire game, then that is the best. That is the best option for any sport.
You don't think there's like a feel of game management that you have to have as a ref?
There's a feel,
right? Because a lot of in soccer, when you give a guy a booking, right? It's like it's not necessarily that one, but you feel like the game's getting a little chippy. It's getting out of control. A specific player is getting out of control, and you want to like signal that what is going on needs to stop, right?
Sure, that makes sense. You do lose that. You do lose that to a degree.
Yeah.
And it's harder to cross the line for things like ejections, like you just said.
Yeah.
But I still feel like the number of incidents involving a player getting riled up would diminish greatly if everyone accepted that the reffing was perfect.
That is a good point. I didn't think about that.
Now, sometimes there's spats between players on a personal level. Like, I don't know, if you had a teammate that had sex with your mom and you were in the NBA.
Stop.
But that's not important. What's important is that the call.
I think we're talking about teammates right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That was the first. That was honestly what popped in my head when I thought about players having disputes on a personal level.
So do you think part of that human aspect is why referees are like resistant to it? They're like too cocky. Like they think you still need me.
Right. Also, what if you've been doing your job for 20 years and one day someone walked in and said, "Hey, Grant, you're doing a shitty job. We're going to replace you with this robot."
Totally understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be pretty mad. As I think a lot of the referees probably are.
Yeah. So for the referees, do we care more if you're a referee, do we care more about being right or more about that aspect of it?
I think that in sports, the correct call is the more important aspect.
It seems like it. It seems like it should. I know
Yeah.
that's not how egos work,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, what are you gonna do? Do you think baseball gets a tech-assisted strike zone? People have been talking about like a headset that umpires wear, and it just kind of like shows it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that happens? Do you think it's a good thing?
I think it's a good thing that technology is possible, for one.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty incredible.
That's a good point.
But then, moving past that, I think it should have one. Why not?
The strike zone is maybe
The most subjective thing in baseball.
it is. It might be the most subjective thing in scoreboard sports.
Possibly.
And you know what I mean by like scoreboard, not
Yeah.
people judging it. But
Like boxing.
like boxing. Every umpire has a different strike zone. Do you think pitchers and hitters would like it if they're all uniform? It seems to me like they would.
Of course, things like that in sports have to be standardized. What if you went to what if you were in the NFL and every game the size of the end zone was different?
Well, in baseball, the size of the outfield is different.
Oh, that's a good point.
So
And
that's
I
interesting.
completely forgot about that for a minute. But that's something I hate about baseball.
You wish they were standardized.
Actually, I hate it and love it at the same time.
Yes.
I'll tell you why I hate that. I'll tell you why I hate the variation.
Go.
I'll tell you why I love the variation.
Okay.
I love the variation because different strategies are employed on different ballparks, and that's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, and it's kind of cool that you can go see the different ballparks, and
right.
it's more, the differences are more than just what kind of fun games do they have there. You know?
Yeah. Now, the reason why I hate it is because players like Miguel Cabrera, let's say,
Sure.
One of my favorite players, completely biased Detroit Tigers fan.
Yeah.
He probably could have gotten the Triple Crown twice.
That ballpark is
But
so
that
big.
ballpark is so hard. And meanwhile, what's the guy's name? Chris Davis. Baltimore Orioles?
Chris Davis.
Slugger? Chris Davis is hitting, on average, home runs that have to travel about 50 yards shorter. And that takes it away. That's inherently unfair. Or someone playing in the new Yankee Stadium. A new Yankee Stadium, a pop fly in Comerica Park is a home run in the new Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And that difference it affects players' stats and it affects how we evaluate players.
It's
In
weird.
general.
It's weird to think about.
You have to consider the player that hit the most home runs this year might not be the best home run hitter. It's very possible that they played a schedule that very much favored them hitting more home runs.
Yeah. And I get that's maybe you say that's something the players have to take into account when they're picking their teams.
Right.
But
So that's an aspect that I don't like about it, but I do kind of enjoy the variation. It's always fun, especially the unique ones like you got Boston. That's the iconic.
yeah. But back to the soccer and VAR thing.
Right. Back to the VAR.
We should care more about being right.
Yeah, we should
Bottom
care more about being right.
Being right is more important.
Even baseball is starting to care more about being
You
right.
can ask Manny Pacquiao about being wrong.
Right, Manny Pacquiao.
Poor guy.
Is his title technically governor? Is he governor? Should I
Is he
address
actually?
him as like Mr. Governor?
I'm gonna look that up.
Look up his official title. I just think it's the best thing ever that he's a political leader in his country, his home country,
Manny
and he's
Pacquiao.
also simultaneously beating the shit out of people. It's just so much fun.
Currently serving as a senator
Senator.
in the Philippines.
Do you think if I were him, I would like run my campaign on the fact that I was a boxer?
Oh hell yeah!
All my campaign ads would be me like beating someone up.
You're a hero.
Right, you're a hero.
You're a superhero. Why? It's like, so you know how some people win office by like being war heroes?
Yeah,
You're a sports hero.
sports hero.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So in that same vein, who's the next sports hero to be a political leader?
Oh.
I think it's Shaq, governor of California.
Shaq has no. I love Shaq. He has no serious credibility anymore.
We can get Shaq to be the governor of California,
No.
and Kobe can be a senator, and then they can be on the same team again.
Oh God. Back to soccer. So Diego Costa, striker for Chelsea. Chelsea wins the title. Antonio Conte, we know a few weeks back, texts him that he's not going to be a part of the team next year. What a terrible breakup strategy, might I say.
Why are people breaking up over text?
Why would you do it? So Costa gets pretty upset, leaks it to the media. Now he has all the leverage in negotiations, right? Because he has to leave.
Right.
He has to leave. We know he wants to go to Atletico Madrid. Issue has been Madrid's transfer ban. Basically, they got in trouble dealing with some youth players in some ways that I'm not entirely sure the details on. Kind of like an NCAA thing.
Right.
But so basically, any players they buy now can't be registered on the official roster until the next transfer window, which is in January.
They miss about half the season.
He'd miss about half the season. So the initial thoughts were, we're going to buy him, then we're going to loan him for half a season, right?
Sure.
Play somewhere else. Get his minutes in. It's a World Cup year. He can see first team action somewhere. Now Atletico's coming out and they're saying they don't want to do that. They're just going to have him stay on the team, not play, practice with the team. Is it okay for you to buy a player and then not let him play based on your own indiscretions?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong here. This isn't a done deal. He hasn't signed the contract.
No, he hasn't signed anything yet.
He hasn't signed anything yet.
But it's the only team he says he will play for, and Antonio Conte's told him that he's basically out of Chelsea.
Right. That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Now, it's all up to him.
Right.
He could sign somewhere else. I'm sure a number of teams would be happy to take him, right?
He's technically not a free agent. So it's more like a cash trade.
Okay. I'm sure any number of teams would be happy to cash trade for him if you were willing to play for them. This is a decision he makes himself now. Is he okay with sitting on half the season?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, then that's a decision he has made, full well and knowing. We made the rule violation, kind of likened it to NCAA. This is like the NCAA transfer rule. If you transfer, you're going to sit out a year.
It's a good point.
And that's a decision the player makes. Granted, NCAAers don't really have enough rights, but that's one right they do have. They have the right to make that decision. And this is a decision that, this player will have to make. No one's forcing him.
So if you're Costa, right, World Cup is next summer. To be on the national team, you probably want as many opportunities to show yourself as possible. Is he taking a risk here by foregoing the first half of the season and just hoping that he kicks it in the gear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is
Short
a risk.
answer, yes.
It's a risk. Obviously, the best impression is the last one in most cases. So if he can show good enough form in the last half of the season, he should be fine.
Also, this is his professional career. If he feels this is the best move for him going forward, then this is what he has to do.
Yeah.
So I think it'll come down to his personal values. What he values more, playing time or getting paid to practice, which sounds like a pretty sweet deal to me. I don't know. Or of course that World Cup stuff is looming in the background, but I think he has it good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's totally his decision. I think if I was him, and Madrid bought me, I think I would be a little bit upset if they didn't let me loan though.
That's fair, but
because of something they did wrong.
At the same time, though, he knows they did something wrong.
Uh-huh.
He knows all this. They already said they're not gonna loan him. At this point, had he signed and then they said, "Oh, we're actually not gonna loan him."
Yeah, that's a good point.
That would be frustrating. But he has no right to get upset about that. They don't have to take him.
Right.
It's all on him.
Yeah.
If he's okay with that or not.
Yeah, obviously he's more upset with Antonio Conte.
Right.
Than he is with
kicking him off the
Madrid's, front office situation.
Right.
Quick aside before we move on from soccer, Arsenal signs Alexander Lacazette from Lyon today. You knocked it over. And I think they're moving in the right direction. This is a good first step for them to get back to where they want to be. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Sanchez walk and then use that money somewhere else. But that's a topic for a different time. Moving on to some baseball stuff.
Baseball stuff.
MLB All-Stars. Do you have a biggest snub?
If we're being perfectly honest, Grant, I think the MLB season is too long. I don't really watch
totally
the first half. I pick up baseball.
It is too long.
I pick up baseball after the All-Star break, and I watch it. I read up on what's been going on, and then I watch it through the playoffs.
It's too long.
It's too long.
82 games?
I think that would be nice.
82 games.
I think that one of the reasons why it's so long is because they want to have it already in swing by the time the other sports seasons are over. And they want to cover the summer. Traditionally it's a summer sport, and no other sports are really played during the summer.
So could you cut out the first spring aspect that casual fans don't watch anyway?
No casual fans are watching that because there are other more exciting sports going on. And when I say more
absolutely.
exciting, I'm not hating on baseball when I say more exciting.
No.
What I mean by that is it's playoff time in both the NHL and the NBA.
I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I don't watch a baseball. I don't set aside time to watch a baseball game until after both those playoff series are over.
Right.
Every year.
There's no reason to do it.
No, there's not. And once those are over, then I'll be like, Dodgers and Rockies are on tonight. I'll go watch that. But before the finals for both of those sports ends, not tuned in.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you have a playoff snub, or have you not been? Have you been watching?
I haven't enough to. Paul Goldschmidt, Arizona Diamondbacks is not in the starting lineup as of when I last checked. Holy cow! What the heck? This guy's been second in MVP NL voting each of the last 2 seasons. He's having another leading candidate year. People need to give this guy respect, and they need to give the Diamondbacks respect. So along the All-Star game lines, snubs happen in part because of the way that voting is done. Yes or no on the fan vote?
Yes on the fan vote. In all All-Star sports, no. I'm kidding. I hate the fan vote. Fan voting is awful. We need I think what would be very cool is if in all sports, the fan vote is awful.
Sure.
Zaza Pachulia led centers. I know everyone's talked about that, but it's just so ridiculous. He didn't play at an all-star level, and that shows popular players get in, not the best players. And the same thing could be said for MLB.
It could. It happens.
It happens.
It happens. The Cubs freaking have guys going that shouldn't be going every year, it seems like.
Right. What I would propose is the players do a vote. All-stars are nominated by their peers. I feel like that's truly the highest honor.
And part of it is the player vote. But you think more of it should be
But I think it should only be a player vote.
Only players?
That's
okay,
what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Maybe I didn't make that clear enough. I propose only a player vote.
Okay. Huh.
I think to be nominated by your peers and solely your peers is the greatest honor an athlete in a sport could receive. And I think it will give a more accurate representation of the best players.
Yeah, you're totally right. Look, I know the fan vote is super engaging for fans, right?
Right. It's a great way to get people involved.
It keeps them involved. Mm-hmm. Baseball's been doing it for years, even before the internet. They had punch cards that you would do, right? So, this is sneaky. I say continue doing the fan vote, but don't actually take that into consideration. Don't tell them the results, right? Resounding no on fans actually voting for the All-Star.
Wait, so I'm a little bit confused here. When you say don't actually take into account, is it a public thing? Do you let the public know that you're not taking it into account, or do you just not do it behind the scenes? Okay.
No, you don't tell them that.
You don't tell them? You don't tell them?
No. You don't tell them who's leading. Or you make up numbers.
That's so
that's
dirty.
That's even better. That's even better. No.
Oh my god, it's so morally corrupt.
Look, so much of athletes' reputations today are based on accolades, right? They're based on titles.
Right.
And the people that we consider the best baseball players, cannot be the people that we consider the best baseball players.
Right.
We don't know enough. I don't want to decide who the best baseball players are. I want people that know the game to tell me. Right. I think the experts should. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure who should be in charge of it. You think players?
I think
I
players.
think coaches.
Just definitely not fans.
Definitely not fans. Fans don't know what they're doing because they don't know.
And that includes me. You know what I do when all
fan votes.
all-star
You vote for
voting comes around?
every player in your team.
I go and I vote for the entire Tigers starting lineup,
Absolutely.
regardless of the season they're having.
Absolutely, you do.
You know, I voted for Alex Avila this year. Like,
And then people want to consider all-stars when you're considering people for the Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
It's not right. The fan vote needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board. I want people to tell me, here are the players you should be tuning in to watch.
Yeah, these are the guys.
These are the guys. I'd also like to quickly say, thank goodness that World Series home field advantage is not a part of this.
Oh my God! Thank God, that was the stupidest thing. What, like, the system now?
I don't want to offend any people that are like, oh, the old way is the best way, but
Right.
holy cow, what? Who thought that was a good idea?
And they didn't just take that away. I also appreciate what they did was they added an incentive. They added
What's the incentive?
The incentive is the winning team gets paid
No way.
a certain amount of money
Really?
each. Yeah, I think so.
That is interesting, actually. I didn't know that.
Fact check me on that.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but pretty sure they get paid like $40,000 or something. Like a good, not you know, to the All Stars.
Does that happen in every sport?
To the All Stars, that's
Yeah, they get paid.
yeah, they get paid if they win.
Interesting.
You know, just like in actual baseball, you get paid if you're good.
I did not know that.
So now they're
$20,000.
Yeah, $20,000. So I inflated the number.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, now there's still an incentive, and the best team gets home field advantage. It's a perfect solution.
I'm on board. Quick thing to talk about in baseball. Cuban umpire,
Mm-hmm.
Angel Angel Hernandez. He is suing Major League Baseball for bias against minority umpires. If you think he has any case here, keep in mind that this guy was also rated as one of the worst by a players poll.
You know, there's no denying that there is
There
a
obviously is.
racial
Right.
discrepancy.
There is in all industries.
Now,
I just hope, I don't know anything about it, I hope that it's coming from a real place and not from his reported grudge with MLB executive Joe Torre.
right. You know, I really don't have the basis. I'm only marginally qualified to talk about this.
Good one.
But I really hope this is coming from a place of sincerity.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah, and if it is, then something needs to be done.
right. And
he's
even
in
if
the right.
even if this isn't coming from a place of sincerity, I still feel like something should be done to increase, you know, diversity among umpires in the league. You know,
I think the number is something like 10% are minorities.
right.
You know? Or
That's
something ridiculous.
That's very low.
Yeah.
And that's definitely not representative of the players in the game.
No. No. Maybe it's
it'd be-
representative of the fans that go to the stadium. But that's
Possibly,
a topic
but
for a different day.
That seems irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
I feel like the umpires, you know, if it makes players and the rest of the association feel, you know,
I certainly believe like this,
more representative,
this is a real
and
thing,
this
and
is a
I
necessity.
just hope that it's coming from a sincere place.
Right.
So, do you want to take a quick break before we move on to tennis?
Sure.
Go for it. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So tennis.
Tennis.
Tennis is happening.
Tennis is happening. Wimbledon is happening. The sport's greatest championship.
Yep.
Objectively speaking.
Uh,
Okay, not for now. After the first
I
couple
prefer
rounds.
the U.S. Open.
Do
Go
you really?
America. Go America.
Wimbledon is way better. After the first couple rounds, third-ranked Stan Wawrinka already eliminated.
Exits early.
With his early exit, is there any chance the Big Four are challenged? The Big Four being Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Andy Murray. It's been, how many years has it been? Almost 15? It's been exactly 15 years, I think, since Leighton Hewitt last won. a Wimbledon title. 15 years.
Leighton Hewitt.
15 years since one of the big four hasn't won Wimbledon. Any chance that they don't win it this year?
See, this is the great thing about tennis.
Yeah.
There's always a chance. You know, someone could go out on any given day and beat anyone else. And I love that. But I'm going to say there's a 95% chance that...
I'm going to say 99.
That one of the big four walks away with this. And my favorite to win is Andy Murray. He's going to repeat. He's going to...
With the hip injury.
With the hip injury. He's on his home turf.
Yeah.
The grass, not
the
turf.
Grass.
I
would argue that...
The atmosphere. He's used to the air.
The grass is Federer's home turf.
That's
I'm
very...
Go to Roger Federer.
That's a very fair argument.
Let's get it. Number 8? Is he going for number 8?
Oh, my God.
Get it, boy. What a god.
No matter what anyone says, in my opinion, Roger Federer is the greatest tennis player of all time.
He's the greatest I've ever seen.
Yeah. He's
greatest I've ever
definitely
seen.
greatest in my generation, but if you compare to literally anyone out there, he's the greatest player in my opinion. It's impossible.
Is he greater than Serena? John McEnroe, we're coming for you. Is he greater than Serena?
Is he greater than Serena? Well, I feel like you... I was about...
So, just to recap, John McEnroe said in an interview last week, somebody asked him, is Serena the greatest tennis player alive today, right? And he answered, Serena's not the best because she couldn't beat many of the men. Is there a difference between the best and the greatest?
Right. I think there is.
And I say there is, right? You measure greatness by wins and success.
But
right?
I think that
you could even argue that LeBron is the best player you've ever seen, but not the greatest.
Right.
There's that argument.
There's like greatness comes in moments.
Yes.
Like greatness is, you talk about, we could talk about the LeBron Jordan argument forever. Things like true shooting percentage going up at the end of games. But tennis isn't quite comparable like that, in my opinion. Especially...
Really? Why do you say that?
Because there is no late in a game, in my opinion, in tennis. There's no point, until the last point in a tennis match is played, a player is still in it.
That's a good point.
There's no...
But there are still, late game
There are comebacks. They're late game moments.
Right. Okay.
That's true.
Roger Federer, Andy Roddick, 11-game tiebreak. That's not late game to you?
That's late game, but it's late game in a different sense than a sport with a timer on it. It's late game in the sense that this... It's kind of hard for me to describe.
No, it makes it...
I just feel like it's not exactly the same format. You can't really compare crunch time, yet at the same time you kind of can. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this argument. This is coming from someone that...
You play tennis.
Played tennis for a very long time.
Yes.
And I can't quite describe it. And obviously, I don't have the same
level
of
Serena's
expertise
the
as these
greatest.
people. Serena the greatest.
No
Serena,
question for me. Easily.
Serena, I don't think she's the greatest.
Do you think she hasn't had enough competition?
I think she's not the greatest. If we're defining greatest and best as differently,
yeah.
I feel like in order to be the greatest, you need to have... If we're talking about late game moments and that type of thing, that intense competition, there needs to be an intense competition. But at
Does
the
that
same,
say more about her, saying that she's that much better?
That's a very valid argument. Very valid argument.
I don't know.
On so many levels.
I don't know enough.
Serena is unrivaled.
Yeah.
It's her game is beautiful and it's powerful and it's absurd. There's never been a woman in the game with the athleticism she has and the sheer strength and the speed.
Not in my lifetime.
At the same time, with all the strength and the speed, her technique is fantastic. It's just she's by far the best female player of all time.
So for me, I played tennis when I was younger, but I don't know enough about it. So when I watch it, right, I can't look for the intricacies, but I can see the box scores, I can see the trophies she has, and on the court, she's clearly different than who she's playing against. You can see it. You can see it in your opponent's eyes almost. Like, holy cow, what can I do against this? She's the greatest I've ever seen.
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
fair.
Yeah.
I would have to disagree. I think Federer's the
You
greatest.
think Federer's the greatest?
And
I think Federer's the best.
a large reason why I think Federer's the greatest, along with all his accolades, is if you were to write a book on tennis and there were diagrams showing you how you're supposed to swing and how you're supposed to serve and how you're supposed to play the game, it would be
That's a convincing
it would be
argument.
pictures for Roger Federer.
That's a convincing
He-
argument.
His technique is the most beautiful, most perfect technique.
You don't have to have watched any tennis ever to see that Federer plays pretty.
Right.
He plays pretty.
And it's not just pretty, he plays right. That's the correct way. That's the pinnacle of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, it is grace personified.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's get back to this Wimbledon tournament.
So Roger Federer, the other day, he's on center court.
Mm-hmm. Center court.
Center court. People pay a lot of money on center court. His
Mm-hmm.
opponent gives up a set, loses an early break in the second, retires. One of almost 10 players to retire in the first round. Basically, what I believe is going on here is people are injured.
Mm-hmm.
Guys know they're injured coming into the tournament, but they want to at least make an appearance to collect that $50,000 or whatever it is dollar paycheck.
Right.
Is there a way to fix this situation?
Yeah, you pay the player regardless. You have to bite the
Easy.
bullet and do it. You know, players don't owe this to their fans. If you're a player like Roger Federer, you have millions of dollars. If you're injured, you're not going to play. It's easy.
Yeah.
If you're a player, like an unranked player coming into this tournament, say you win a match, maybe you're playing in the first round, and you make still a large sum of money, let's say, $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
You're not going to write off a $50,000 payday for
No,
stepping
of
on the
course
court.
not.
Of course you're
You
not.
can't. You
That's-
can't ask a man to not take his money.
Right. That's a large percentage of the money he makes annually.
Uh-huh.
Or she, women can
Yep.
drop out of
Yep.
matches early too
Yep.
or be injured. Just players in general. You got to expect the players to try and get the money. It's their profession. And you don't see the top ranked guys dropping out. You
Do
see-
athletes owe their bodies to the fans?
No.
No.
This is their livelihood.
No, they are paid to win, right? They're paid to be good.
Right.
The people that are paid to entertain are the sports franchise, are like ATP trying to bring it together. It's their job to make it entertaining for the fans. It's not the players' job.
Exactly.
Players are there to win.
It's their responsibility to ensure that the rules don't favor things like playing 1 point and then dropping it. In this situation, there was a player, I can't recall the name. There's a player, I think it was against Djokovic, it might have been Federer.
Djokovic also had his opponent drop out the
Right.
match before Federer's in center court.
Yeah. So 2 center court matches
Same
had to
day.
be replaced on
Yeah.
the same day. Awful for the fans. They don't really get to see.
Bad look for the sport.
They don't really get to see 2 of the greatest
they
players
don't.
of the era.
Really cheated, and that's unfortunate.
Right. And that's very sad. It's very sad that the rules encourage this. There's a player, I don't remember which one, but he injured himself about 2 weeks ago in a match, and he was in a tiebreak. It was something like 6-6, and he had to drop out of the match. If you're no self-respecting tennis player would drop out of that situation unless you were seriously injured.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have recovered in 2 weeks. There's no way. There's no way he could have recovered and been match ready.
Is tennis too grueling?
I wouldn't
Is
say
5 sets too grueling?
I wouldn't say 5 sets is too grueling.
Have you
Not-
played 5 sets?
Yes, I played 5 sets.
Yeah.
Not competitive, not at the competitive level.
And
because
not
I never-
sustained for a year.
Not sustained for a year. I have played 5-set matches though, so I don't know what they're going
Right.
through. But based on what I'm perceiving from watching, I'm not saying I have experience with this. This
Yes.
is entirely my perception as a fan and someone who follows tennis fairly invested
Yeah.
in an invested
Sure.
manner. I don't think the 5-set format is too grueling. I think what it is the system for this tournament is just very much encouraging injured players to play.
You don't think there's a way to make
There's a very easy solution.
to prevent
Injury?
injuries?
There's no way to prevent injuries.
You wouldn't consider
entirely.
no ad.
I would not consider no
You wouldn't
ad.
consider no ad.
No ad would
You
be
wouldn't-
a travesty.
You wouldn't consider the 5th set just being a tie break, no set.
Are you kidding me?
You wouldn't consider it.
Never.
Okay.
It's a fundamental aspect
Okay.
of the game.
You know, we've been talking a lot about how sports they need change, right?
Yeah,
You're on the other side of this now. It's hard to let things go, isn't it?
it is very hard to let things
Yeah.
go. But from this aspect, the fifth set has brought us some of the greatest moments in tennis
The
history.
fifth set is the best set.
Fifth set is the best set.
That's the best set.
When it goes to the fifth set, the fans get louder. The tension, you can feel it in the air, and even through the TV screen in the fifth set. And because there's no timer, this is one of the reasons why I love tennis. Don't get me wrong, I love time sports as well.
No.
But because there's no timer, each player kind of has complete control over the situation.
Yes.
There's no last second shot. There's no half court shot. Each player is putting forth his best shots.
I used to play tennis when I was younger. You probably know the guy. He used to say, "It's never over until it's over."
Right.
Right.
And that quote doesn't apply to
Many
things
sports.
in the same way.
Basketball, if you're down 40 points in the second half, you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
But in tennis, it's the most beautiful thing. You can be down 0-6, 0-6, and still come back. And that's fantastic. You know, there's just so many, tennis is the greatest comeback sport, in my opinion. I really think it is. I think it's incredible.
I would say it's better than baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because baseball has more of a affinity to me than tennis does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though there's no timer, still, all right, we have 16 outs left. What can we do in 16 outs? I guess the same can be said for tennis. I have so many points left I can lose.
But that's not necessarily true.
I have so many games left.
So many games left. There's an
Yeah.
infinite number of points you can lose in tennis.
No,
and in some tournaments like Wimbledon,
Yeah.
there's an infinite number of games you can lose. We saw that a couple of years ago with the Isner-Mahut match. They just kept going.
Oh my god.
And that was great.
The best tennis match I've ever seen was the Roddick-Federer tiebreak.
Right.
It was.
So great.
It was good.
Tennis is the only sport where you can lose more individual points than your opponent and still win.
Just like elections. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take a quick break.
Right.
Then we'll finish up
With some fun stuff.
Oh, actually, before we do, saw something today on TV. Tennis player by the name Bernard Tomic,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets spanked, more or less, and then he goes in a press conference and reiterates how bored he is with his job. Good or bad look, and is it okay for athletes to say they don't enjoy their jobs?
It's a bad look from the fans' perspective because a lot of people would give an arm and leg to play professional tennis. Of course, after they give that arm and leg, they probably wouldn't be the best player on the tour.
Well, if you got like new arms and legs, you might
New
be
arms and
fine.
legs. Anyway,
Like robot legs.
that was that was an awful dad joke. But my point is,
It's funny to me.
so many people are standing there wishing they're in your position, and you're standing there just shitting on yourself. You're saying, "I'm bored. I don't wanna, do this right
Look,
now or anymore."
People complain about their jobs every day in every job. You don't complain about it to your boss.
Right.
You don't do it, right? This is a bad look for him. His sponsors, I'm sure, cannot be happy with this.
Right.
Most tennis players, correct me if I'm wrong, they make a pretty sizable chunk of their income from
Off their sponsorship.
right?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Yeah, it's a puzzling thing to say.
Yeah.
I really don't know what. It's a
I'm
situation.
so bored.
It's a situation where there's literally no benefit to saying that. Yet he chose to.
Maybe
anyway.
he's trying to take the pressure off himself.
I don't know.
Does this take pressure off of him?
Hey, we're talking
Saying
about
like,
him now.
I don't care if I win because I'm bored and I'm gonna make more money than any of you will.
We're talking about him now, so maybe it's helping his brand.
I don't think this helps his brand.
No, it doesn't help
No.
his brand.
No, it doesn't. I think, again, you're paid to win,
Right.
right? If you are not trying to win, then you should be paid less.
Yeah.
And if you can't win, you should be paid less.
Exactly.
This only hurts him. Bottom line.
Only hurts him.
Only hurts him. All right, why don't we take a quick break and then
All right.
finish up?
Finish up.
Awesome.
All right.
All right, so we are nearing the end of our show, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Just some miscellaneous stuff. Over the weekend, I visited Austin, Texas to see some family down there. And we got into DKR Memorial Stadium, University of Austin, Texas football stadium. I gotta say, I was really impressed by how it was as a structure. You go.
Was your first time there?
It's my first time there. We grew up around the big house, right? So maybe it's just normal to me now. There it is, now uncovered by the lack of shirts.
Jerseys that have fallen.
It was really cool to see, and I think I would be interested to see how more stadiums are like that. It was to me more impressive a structure than the big house.
Interesting.
Empty. Also, if you guys haven't been watching drone racing on ESPN2,
watch it.
Absolutely watch it.
Watch it. You must watch it.
It's so cool.
It's so entertaining. They got these drones buzzing around. They usually go to some NFL stadium or like some soccer stadium or something, some circular kind of area, and then they put these goggles on and they can see like the drone, and it's more entertaining than NASCAR by far, in my opinion.
Because NASCAR is 2D.
It's flat. These guys go up and down. It's like you can pass under someone and like.
I never know what's going on, but it's crazy.
You gotta watch drone racing.
You gotta watch it.
I'm gonna lay down some sweet drone racing highlights.
Would you
over this
buy a drone
to learn how to race it?
Yeah.
No, because it's my understanding that those are incredibly hard to pilot, and I would break it instantly. Personally, yes. I would break the drone.
Yes, it's super cool though.
I have no doubt in my mind I would shatter that thing into a million pieces. The people that do it, super impressive. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Next miscellaneous topic.
I'm gonna performance of the week. We're each gonna pick one. I'll give you a few options. So Florida Gators win College World Series.
Yep.
John Trumpain, the MLB umpire who talked down a bridge jumper.
Yeah.
Big hero story. Dom Dwyer, U.S. soccer player, makes his national team debut against Ghana. Scores a goal. He was fantastic. Future's looking bright. Pat Riley and the Miami Heat retiring Chris Bosh's jersey.
It's a classy move.
Thoughts for Chris. And the last option is whoever finally fired Phil Jackson. Who are you going to pick?
As tempted as I am to take the last option there, I'm going to have to pick I'm blanking on the name. Let me see it.
John
Trumpain.
It's a good choice.
Props
to you, man.
Saved a life.
Props to you.
That is really something. Not really anything to do with sports, but goddamn,
it's a performance.
It was impressive.
He performed under pressure.
He did perform. Yeah, that is more pressure than sports will ever put on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go actually with Pat Riley. Just feel good stories. Pat Riley and Chris Bosh's jersey retiring. We all feel for Chris. Great player.
It's so unfortunate that this is how his career ends.
It sucks because he had way more years.
He had more left in him.
Years. He's a fantastic basketball player, fantastic person, advocate for the sport.
Right. And not only did he have so much left in him, I feel like, in a way, part of his career was not taken away from him, but he gave it up, in a way.
Absolutely.
He could have led any team in the NBA.
Oh, my God.
He could have. If you look at some of the highlights, if you look at the highlights from Chris Bosh's career, so many of those are last-second shots and monster dunks. He could have been a superstar in another team.
For the people that never watched him in Toronto, he was a monster. Right? The people that are just like, oh, he sucked in Miami. He was great in Miami, first off.
Yeah.
He was great in Miami. But in Toronto, he was a bona fide superstar.
Right, and he gave that up to win championships. A true sign of a competitor.
Also, he's like a big-time coding advocate.
Really?
Yeah, he seems like a pretty intelligent, well-versed guy. Worst performance of the week, you have 4 options. Phil Jackson, I guess not the week, just in general, all culminating here.
Right.
Allen Iverson for his dud in the Big Three. I know he's 40, but come on, man. I was expecting a little bit more. There was a video, third option, there was a video last week. Confederations Cup is going on. They cut to who's watching it, and it's surgeons operating on a person. I hope this isn't real, but if it's not, it's very funny. And the last,
You know what, just done. We shouldn't do
no,
this.
3 options.
For my pick, actually, I'm going to let you go first this time.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson.
Look, the dude's 40. I know he hasn't played in a while, but he was getting so much hype, and for him to just throw that dud out there, I'm a little disappointed. No shame against him. I'm disappointed. Bad performance.
I'm still happy for him. Player coach, lovable guy, and you got to respect what role he played in hyping up this league.
Yeah,
and getting everyone
absolutely.
excited for it. So I'm not saying that's an L, in my opinion. My biggest loss of the week, worst performance, is definitely those surgeons. What are you doing?
You blew it. I
What are
hope
you
it's
doing?
not real.
You played yourself.
You blew
What are you doing? Why are you? There's a man.
It can't
with
be
his
real,
chest
right?
cut open. There's no way it's real. On the assumption that's real, I'm making that my worst performance of the week. It's sloppy work.
If it's fake, it's very funny.
If it's fake, it's very funny.
If it's
if
real,
it isn't fake, if it's real, it's also very funny.
Y'all are
but it's
messed up,
also horrible. It's
Messed
also
up.
horrible.
Messed up.
Yeah.
What are you most excited to watch this week, Barry?
NBA free agency. I want
Okay.
to see what else happens. I would love to see that Boston trade for Marc Gasol. I know it's probably not going to happen. If it does happen, it might happen midway through the season if the Grizzlies start to play really badly and decide to rebuild or something.
It's about time they rebuild it. Anyway.
It's about time to rebuild.
Some
So
groups
this move,
just don't have it.
right? This move kind of makes sense for both sides. I would love to see this move.
I'm most excited to watch the beginning of the Gold Cup. U.S. plays Panama on Saturday, I believe.
Go America.
Let's go America. See how those youngsters do out there. I hope the future's looking bright. I guess we're gonna find out in a few days. And again, I'll leave you. Question of the week: is WWE a sport?
Is WWE a sport? I say yes.
We may debate this more next week.
Or if there's
We may not.
when the next big WWE pay-per-view comes out, we'll watch it and
It's
then debate
WWE
whether or not
pay-per-view.
the big events are.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. You haven't seen WWE until you watch a pay-per-view event. They're incredible. They're incredible. I think WWE is a sport. I love WWE.
Anyway, that's what we have for you today. Thank you for watching.
Yep. This has been Marginally Qualified.
We are marginally qualified.
There we are.
Awesome.